Posted by you/dependent_pause_. Hello and thank you in advance for your creativity and time. I'm living in hell right now and need ideas. My son just turned 18 and is disabled. He needs and takes multiple medications and requires support at school. He does well in some settings and is on track to graduate and pursue trade school, with support, and we're so proud of him. He is extremely impressionable, a little socially awkward, and desperate for friends. For years we've struggled because he gives his possessions away, gets into bad situations, for example, someone offering to sell him rocks at a park, him thinking they are collectible polished gemstones, and then freaking out when he realizes they're illicit substances, and is easily bullied. He will do anything to be liked, which breaks my heart. We're working on it in therapy, with trusted adults, etc. The grown man, this guy is 28 years old. Let's call him Quentin. He's frequently homeless, often sleeping in a tent in parks or getting a voucher from our city to stay in a motel. He has 2 pit bulls, not spayed or neutered, that he leaves in the tent or motel room when he works at a fast food job. I actually have compassion for him and his animals, if he had nothing to do with my son. It started with him asking my son to watch his dogs in the park while he worked. My son is so thrilled to have a friend and be helpful, and he does love animals. So he will spend 8+ hours a day or night, alone in a park, watching these dogs. He even asks if he can take dog food, toys, and blankets from our house for Quentin's dogs. He does it whether we say yes or no. Months ago, we would say yes because I appreciate that my son wants to help these dogs. Starting a few months ago, when my son turned 18, Quentin told him he didn't have to stay with us and could stay with him. For weeks, our son was sleeping in the tent with the dogs or roughing it in the park. Quentin gives him beer and the green stuff. Our son will watch the dogs for entire shifts while Quentin works. Quentin tells him he will help him get a tent and vouchers, too. The police are sympathetic, especially because my son has disabilities and some medical issues. But he is 18. The school is supportive, but he's almost ready to graduate, and again, he's 18. We had not ever pursued medical conservatorship or anything like that because, before now, many things were going right, and we don't take lightly the idea of removing civil liberties from another young adult. In the past week, Quentin got another room at the motel. He messaged my son to come stay with him, and he did. My son sat in the room and watched his dogs while Quentin worked, and I imagine they got high and hung out when Quentin was not working. My son would respond to text messages from us but asserted he is an adult and can go where he wants. He missed a week of medication, school, part of his part-time job, and another important appointment. Being Quentin's friend is more important than all of these things. He feels good helping his friend and says, "Quentin is like a brother to me, he's the best brother I've ever had." Quentin's own family has kicked him out. They are nearby. I have no idea who watches the dogs when my son is not available. Quentin doesn't drive, and earlier this week my son gave Quentin his bike because he needs it more than me. Our son came home yesterday and had a complete psychiatric crisis because he's been unmedicated, and probably also high/drinking, for so many days. His medical issues are exacerbated. He was banging his head on the concrete floor, and when we called emergency services, he spit at the police, so they put a spit hood on him and restrained him. It was horrific, and he was begging for help. We're not sure when he will be stable enough to come home and may need a medical procedure. He was coherent today, crying, apologizing, but still 100% certain Quentin is his friend. I also feel terrible because I know that, at age 18, it's a good thing for my son to be not telling us everything, having his own friends in life, etc. I look forward to that day. He does have other friends who are closer to his age, and their hanging out is more appropriate. But these other kids have busier lives and more responsibilities. They aren't available 24/7. Quentin is, and my son feels so good when his phone pings and it's his friend needing him. How can I make this man's life miserable? Or at least, make it too uncomfortable or risky to keep hanging out with my son? Nothing to harm or stress the dogs, please. It's not their fault, and my son would never forgive me. Update 4 months later. A few months ago, I came here asking for tips to help get a man named Quentin out of my son's life. I'm super grateful for all the ideas and many kind words. As of today, and for the last 3 months, my son is happy and healthy. We found a transitional living house for him with 5 other young men, 2 house managers, and a dog. He's learning to adult, learning to cook, clean, and get a job. It includes therapy, gym every day, yoga, skateboarding, and more. Truly a dream come true. The house is about 40 minutes away from where Quentin lives, and my son feels he has friends, is purposeful, and feels adult. He is learning and staying busy. They will also do job training. Before this happened, I took as much of your advice as possible. I contacted the manager at Quentin's workplace and the motel he occasionally stays at. I told them Quentin was allowing a disabled teenager to stay with him and giving him, and other teens, alcohol. The manager is a local small business owner and took my information seriously. I also went to the motel and pointed out the sign that said all guests must have ID, my son does not. I told the manager I hoped he was abiding by the rules or I'd contact corporate. I also started calling the non-emergency PD line when Quentin was camped out after park closing time and leaving his dogs there during the day. The PD would move him along. Someone had the great advice of being his best friend and showing up all the time. So I did. If Quentin wanted to see my son, hey, here I am, too. I'm at the park, I'm at his work, I'm near the motel. I even prepared flyers to let others in the park neighborhood, which has a playground for small children, know about the tent, camping, and unsupervised, unneutered pit bulls. Quentin got increasingly upset. He said I was stalking him and he was going to call the police. I said, politely, please do. I'd love to tell the police more about what he was doing with my son and other vulnerable young people. I told him, if he wanted to be in my son's life, I'd be in his life. It was up to him. I really felt bold after all of your advice and encouragement. I was willing to keep going for the long haul. In the meantime, we found a lawyer, and I started tapping into resources to find my son some kind of job training because he really wants to help and feel grown up. For a few weeks, he was working at a drugstore through a program run by a local agency. That was huge for him, stocking, cleaning, and helping people. It also kept him busy for about a month and kind of removed Quentin slightly. Quentin either got sick of seeing me or was afraid of losing his job. The motel he had been staying at occasionally stopped letting him, so he had to start using another location much farther away. It was farther to walk to work and harder to deal with. I think he realized my son wasn't worth the trouble I was causing and just stopped contacting him. Thank you so much for all of your ideas. I was so focused on trying to fix it from my son's end as his mom that I had no idea how to actually deal with Quentin. You all were fantastic. Huge thanks from the mom of a happy, healthy, busy, and purposeful young adult son.